Hey everybody. Okay, let's get this going here. Let's see. I think I got this right. Woo! No, I don't. Okay. All right, let's do this. Okay. Can everyone see me okay? Oh. Hi. I'm trying. Hey everybody. Okay, hold on. Let me get myself situated here. All right, so I'm just waiting for a few people to get on before I go and start sharing this this video everywhere. I'm gonna turn off my volume over here, do a couple things. We getting people on here? Hi! Okay, so I'm gonna invite Adisa to share this a couple places first. Just to make sure it's happening. Hey there.
Hello.
All right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm waiting for a few people to come on, and I'm also sharing this live feed to a couple places so that we can get a little bit more people in on this.
Okay.
And so how's your night been going?
It's been going very well. It's a little cold in North Carolina, which is unusual for the South, but it's okay. It's bearable at this moment. I usually like sleeping in the cold, but being regularly in the cold is crazy. And I might not be cold. I just made the fact that I was working out earlier and I'm just hot and cold at the same time. So very weird.
I hear that. We're in upstate New York, and it's an exceptionally warm climate considering,
We probably have
that
a
we're in
trade-off.
December now. That's what it is. I said, give it a couple more years. New York is going to be a tropical rainforest. It's going to be crazy.
I agree with you on that one.
All right, so let's get into your bio. Okay. Let's tell people all about you. So, Adisa Speaks is an iconoclast known as a cultural pioneer for his integration of creativity and spirituality. He is an artist, an entrepreneur, and cultural thought leader who is also the founder and spirit ambassador of Exchange, a spiritual community based in Brooklyn, New York, and Durham, North Carolina, known for their innovation, creativity, and artistry. Exchange has been named one of the most influential and innovative spiritual communities in America. Yes.
Humble title that we do hold.
I love it. So, Adisa, I invited you here because I absolutely adore you. I love to watch your videos, your inspirational quotes on your page. You've created groups, you've created gatherings and places for people to come to really work on themselves. And I have been so fortunate that you allowed me to join in on those gatherings,
Thank you.
And so I wanted you to come on here so that you can kind of talk to my people as well and let them know what it is you're all about and what it is you do, and I feel a special connection with you as well. I really do, because when it comes to healing, when it comes to working on spirit and working on self, that is the first thing that I tell people when they come to me for work. It's like, what is it that you're doing? What is it? How are you working on yourself, right?
Yes.
And you've been speaking about a concept that may be new to a lot of people, this idea.
Okay.
And although it is not new to you, baby, not new at all. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. The title of this video is called Healing with the ORI, right? And the ORI, at least from what I gathered in gatherings that you've had on your Facebook and discussions that you've had on your videos, is part of the Ifa tradition.
Yes.
Am I correct on that? So what is Ifa? Can you explain that tradition to us?
Ifa is, that's, I would say Ifa is one of the oldest spiritual practices in the tradition. Is about 10,000 years old. And so Ifa is a way of life. It's a spirituality. It's a philosophy. and it is based from the Yoruba tribe, or excuse me, Yoruba ethnic group in Nigeria, and it is truth. It is a way of it's a way to God. It's a way to it has a structure of support to humanity through Orisha, and so that is the blessings of Ifa in its whole entirety and stuff. So it's a lot of things. It's represented by a prophet named Orumila, and Orumila, which is who is an Orisha, but he's also an Orumile, came down from Orun in heaven, and he delivered the message of Ifa. It's simple. It's simple.
So it's kind of like that story. It's kind of your hero's myth story. You know, the Jesus coming down to talk, the Muhammad coming down to talk, the Buddha coming down to talk. So it's kind of that same structure.
I'm finding a theme in the world. There is a theme in the world, and you know, some people will not like me after when I say this statement, but it's okay. I come to find a theme that God is bigger than human thinking, and that God shows up in different people, places, and times with all the same message. So,
fact.
Some people don't like that statement, but it'll be okay. They'll be fine.
It's like science. It's like you don't have to like it if you don't want to, but it's there.
It.
That's what
it is. What it is. So whatever.
So speaking of you mentioned the word God, right? So you mentioned is this in your tradition? Is it a monotheistic tradition? Is it a polytheistic? Are they archetypes of the one thing, as a lot of people like to say, or you know, what is it?
It's
what is
actually
it for you?
monotheistic, and people don't really realize. They think that we all worship Orishas. We don't worship Orishas. We venerate Orisha. We worship God Olodumare. God Olodumare is one who is worshipped, and the way of worshiping one of the ways of worshiping Olodumare is through Ori. And so most people don't understand that concept. I think we've gotten it twisted because Orishas and the whole tradition of Ifa has been demonized by other Abrahamic faiths to believe that we're worshiping demons. We don't worship demons. I don't worship Obatala. He's not who I worship every day. He's not God who I pray to. I venerate Obatala because he is the guardian of my head. He's one of the guardians that came to support me, or who made in contract with me to support me while I was on earth. And so a lot of people don't get that, and they think, oh, he's worshiping a statue. I don't worship a statue. You know, it's not. And so there's a lot of ignorance there because, two, it's an esoteric tradition in the terms that you need to be on the insider to know a lot of things going on the inside. And so because of so much demonization, a lot of people have been more inward about explaining what the tradition really is to people. And so people now have an understanding that we are monotheistic. We believe in one God. It's only one God. The God's name, the God who can be called Eludumare or Oludumare, depending on your lineage or where you go from. And my lineage was said Eludumare. So, yeah, one God.
So then in that framework, then who are the Orishas?
Okay, good question. Orishas, I'm going to explain this because I know you have an audience of different backgrounds. Orishas are likened, and some people don't like this, they're likened to angels, supporters. Also, Orishas are forces of nature. This is a very eco-religion. This deals with earth. This is nature. And so Orishas are forces of the nature. You have Obatala, who's of creativity. You have Ogun, who's of metal and also creativity as well. You have Oshun, who is a river. You have Oya, who's also a river. Yemoja, a river deity. Olokun, who represents the sea and the ocean. And so these are representatives of these elements in nature. And so we venerate these elements in nature. So that's who Orishas really are at the end of the day.
I love it. You had mentioned when you were describing the tradition that one of the ways to worship Oldemare is with the Ori, right? And then you pointed to your head. So what is Ori, and why did you point to your head?
Uh, here's a fact. Ori is exactly the representation of God in you. Okay, it is part of God. Ori is connected to Olodumare. And so one of the ways of worshiping is venerating that Ori. We do something in the morning to wake up in the morning and to give destiny its due. Divine for a person who meet with luck today. It is I who meet myself with luck. We also say Ori Wu. We in my aspect of the tradition, for people who are students of mine, the first thing you need to do worship is your Ori because it is your highest self. And
Your
so it is
highest
your
self.
highest
Okay.
self. It is that representation of God on earth in you. And so there's three aspects of Ori. Ori, which is the physical head. And then there's an aspect of Ori, and I can never get this pronunciation right, but I'm going to say there's an Ori in heaven. And then there's Ori Inu, the Ori inside of you. It is the Ori that tells you where to go, what to say, not to go where. And so that is all connected in one, and that's still Ori. So Ori, the physical head, Ori of destiny, which is in Oru, and then Ori Inu, the Ori on the inside of you.
That is, oh my God, I have so many questions all of a sudden from that. That's amazing. So, okay, but before I get into those questions, so the Ori, because a lot of times when people speak about it, because a lot of people online talk about Ori, but never the way you do, and that's why I love you, and that's why I'm bringing you on. But like, they talk about it as if it is another Orisha, like another spirit that's simply living inside your head. Whereas you speak about it as if it's some sort, like if God was the sun and the sun exploded into stardust, and that little bit of stardust that is part of you and your atom and that makes you up, you speak of it as if the Ori is that little spark that is the same material, the same stuff that's made from the God that it came
That's
from.
exactly what it is.
Am I right in interpreting that?
That's exactly what Ori is. Ori is that spark. The Christians will call Ori the Holy Spirit, the greater one that's on the inside of you, the aspect of God inside of you, the spirit of God that's inside of you. Ori is the spirit of God inside of you. It's your truth. It's your highest you inside of you. That part of God taken and placed inside of you to support you while you're on earth. That's why in the tradition, we cannot obtain certain things without the permission of Ori. Orishas can't work without the permission of Ori. And most people don't know. They're praying, and then you go get a reading, and it says you need to perpetuate your Ori, because your Ori is asking for offering. So if you don't give the offering to Ori, Ori is not going to give you what you're asking for.
So okay, all right. So now to flip side that question, because again, I'm getting mixed signals. And you know, for people in the community that are just coming into this, they're brand spanking new. They're trying to learn with the only resources that they have, which is the internet and the books and, you know, YouTube and things like that. They get a lot of mixed signals, and a lot of times people say, no, you have to go to your ancestors first. The ancestors are the ones you start off with before you go to anyone else. But it seems like this makes a lot more sense, at least to me, it makes a lot more sense that your highest self, your Ori, would be the first one that you'd want to go through first before you mess with anything external. Does that make sense, or
it makes a lot
am I
of
overstepping
sense.
by making
It makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me. It is your ancestors that have led you to where you're at. Your ancestors are in your DNA. Why do you go back to your ancestors when your ancestors have been pushing you forward? So I'm just going to put that question out there first. And so that's how we put people, let's have them venerate your ancestors first. You are venerating your ancestors when you're living every day. A lot of times people are making more ritual out of practical spirituality. Yes, you should train to become a priest of Egungun if you feel that's your calling. Great, go do it. There's people who specify in that type of work. But your ancestors are in here. They're in your blood. You may have been an ancestor coming back again. You may have returned again. That's why we had in my family, we have Nigerians in my family, and I have an in-law named Baba Tunde, which means father come again, or father has returned again, because his father believed his father returned again. And so what happens is there is a cycle of ancestral blood returning over and over again. You are your ancestors. You are them.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why we
true.
do
And you
things just
and,
like
and you
them.
honor them by taking a breath every day.
And so yes, we do. We're certain there's in my temple we teach people just to give the first serving of whatever you're eating. You know, that's how you venerate the ancestors. And then annually, every year, we give them food or something like that, or some type of sacrifice to them to appease and to thank you for being with us. But Ori is first.
Ori is first.
Ori is
Ori is
first.
first. Now, speaking of that, so you had spoken about the three kinds of Ori,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this Ori, the Enu that's within,
Mm-hmm.
the Ori that is housed in your mind, and the Ori that's out externally.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of make it more palatable for the average person,
Mm-hmm.
right? When someone says, "Oh, my gut told me to do something," or "My gut warned me not to go into that room," the gut would be like the Enu
Ori Inu,
Ori.
yes. Ori Inu.
Mm,
Ori Inu is your
okay.
GPS. That is your God positioning system. That is your innate God positioning system telling you to go here and there. You know what? We all hear from God, whether we know it or not. And that is that
Right.
something told me to do this. Something told me to go here. Something told me that's Ori Inu. That's Ori in the literal spelling. It's Ori INU. Ori in you. It's that
Mm.
in you, that in you talking. Somebody wrote it right there. Ori Inu. And so that is to tell you where to go, where not to go. Don't do that. You ever feel bad about something? That's your conscience. What we can call it, for those who don't understand it, is your consciousness. Your
Consciousness.
conscience. They tell you no, yes, maybe so. And so it's always speaking to us. That's what.
So how do you know when it's in your mind, right? And you're getting these thoughts and these ideas and these voices and these instinctual
Mm-hmm.
hints of do one thing or not to do something, or maybe to get a muse or a spark of inspiration.
Hmm.
How do you know if it's not your imagination? How do you know it's the Ori, or is your Ori also your imagination? Is it
Ah,
is it
okay.
all is it all the things that the mind
Okay.
is capable of doing?
Good question.
Yeah. I know you need to say. He's like, hold on.
Good question. Because I really have to tie in what I've learned in life into this whole thing to explain this.
Please, please do.
There's something I call sacred imagination. First, I'm going to answer your question. You said a key word. How do you know? Because you know. There is something about a
Mm.
knowing that makes you know something. You know you need to move to this new city. You know you need to marry this guy. You know that you need to do this. You know you need to take this job. That is the voice of Ori, that knowing. You know that you know that you
Mm.
know. And nothing can make you doubt that you're knowing. And so how does that
Wow.
translate? How does that translate it? Well, we have something called the psyche. Now, the Hindus call it the crown chakra. Ori can be likened to the crown chakra in that sense, that enlightening place, okay? Uh, you know things because the way we translate as humans, it has to come to the mind. You get a message, you get a dream, you get a vision. Where do they all happen? In your mind. And
In your
so
mind.
that is the place of imagination. That's called sacred imagination. And so in that place, you get to interpret or translate what you are knowing or seeing on the inside. So your inside spark is talking to you. It makes a rise up here, and boom, I know I need to do this. That's how it
Mm.
works. But so, we
Wow.
can't make it too deep. It has to be simplicity for people to understand that they're already in imagination. They're already seeing things. They're already hearing. They're already being led by Ori. They're already being led. Ori
Right.
Inu is leading them. It's talking to them. It's telling them, here, this is the decision. Um, I liken Ori to this. Maybe about 4 years ago, I told I was going to move. I was moving to Europe, and I had this vision of moving to Europe. I didn't believe it, but I had a knowing that I was going to be there. I also had a knowing I was going to live in North Carolina several years ago.
Mm.
That knowing and what you see is sometimes disconnects with each other. It's like because you physically don't see
Mm.
it, but your knowing and your belief on the inside, Inu, is like this is what it is. You must reach the GPS at this time, and so boom.
Mm.
I'm just returning from Europe, living in Europe as of June 30th. Okay, boom. I'm now in North Carolina, but this all was seen 2 or 3 years ago. That's that leading.
Right.
Okay.
So, oh man. So, has there ever? I'm trying to phrase this correctly. Is there a way in which ORI can kind of retroactively work? And let me try and give you an example. So, like, let's say, you're going about life and you've been clouded, things are just happening, and it's almost like life is happening to you and you're not really engaging or living it. You're in this headspace for whatever the reason. It could be you're stressed, you're a lot of reasons, right? And all of a sudden you have a series of steps that you just do, right? And then you look back and reflect upon that and go, oh wow, that seemed really orchestrated. That seemed like it was supposed to go exactly how it was supposed to go. Is that also ORI?
Yeah.
Is that like a retroactive
Absolutely.
way in which it
All
works?
this is because ORI is to support you in your marketplace journey. And so a lesson unlearned must be repeated. So what you're not learning, you're going to go back and repeat it, because it wouldn't be fair of ORI to not let you repeat what you didn't learn, because you're here to learn. You're here to participate in life. You're here to do your mission. You're here to do your assignment that you agreed to before leaving a room or heaven or eternity. And so ORI's like, babe, you're gonna have to go back and do that, boo. You missed the lesson. You're gonna have to go back and do that. So again, a lesson unlearned must be repeated. And so in the retrospect of it, yes. Okay. And then boom. Oh, I get it. Okay. Oh, if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be here. I'll give you, for instance, the day I came into the tradition, I lost my job. I lost everything. I was in a wonderful apartment in Orange, New Jersey. I was living the fabulous life, and I lived across the street from a cemetery, and everything was just hunky dory. And I came into tradition, and I lost my job. Okay. The first thing when I got a reading, your ORI has everything on block, because you need to give it some listening and some veneration. As I started doing that, venerating and wrapping my head in white and getting some coconut and then putting some stuff in the belly button, little things I was doing, everything started unfolding, because ORI is not to play with. ORI's like, hey, baby, we gonna get this or we not gonna get this, boo. I'm gonna check you, boo. Okay.
Exactly.
And so until you get this, you need to work on these things before we go forward. And so that is ORI. It wouldn't be fair. Honestly, it wouldn't be fair unless we go through this. It wouldn't be fair.
And a lot of people, and it's a shame too, because a lot of people would look at their life experience, especially if they're in cyclical life experiences where it just seems to be the same bull crap over and over, that they're experiencing pain, they're experiencing suffering constantly over and over again. And they would look at that as, oh, I'm being punished. Oh, it's a curse. Oh, it's this. And sometimes it's just like, no, honey, it's your ORI screaming out to you saying, listen to me. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in this cycle for freaking ever.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. People, it's hard for some people to really get it. But once you get that leading, once you get that guidance that, hey, some things would not be fair unless you went through them. They're valuable lessons. That's just a testimony that I have right now. It's my testimony. So, someone said that if you picked a good head, or ORI would pick you destiny. Well, the truth of the matter is we have a terminology, Ifa irumila aleri ipin, which means, matter of fact, let me go back. Ifa is the only thing that can actually fix a bad head. So even if you picked a bad head in eternity, while you're on earth, you can repair that bad head. Ifa rumla Larry Epin, he who can fix the bad head. Okay? Ifa is the one that can only fix your bad head. So if you come here and your head is bad and you picked the wrong destiny, or while you was coming to the earth and you got caught up in the rain of life, which is the birth canal, you got caught up in the birth canal and you got some things stripped off your head, well, your head can be fixed. Anybody, we can fix her. We can repair him. So They can be repaired.
So how do we do this? How do we do this? Because there are so many people. There are so many people suffering right now. You know, they're stuck in cycles of depression, cycles of anxiety, cycles of just immobility, not being able to make a step because they are just immobilized from the suffering that they're going through. People who don't feel worthy of this life and of themselves, people who just don't know where to turn. And, you know, what we're saying here is that the answers, that the revelations, that everything that they need is held within them and can be revealed through the ORI.
Hold on.
So how do we, So how do we, how do we communicate to that ORI? How do we open up that communication canal and be able to listen and be able to actually do something with that information? I know that was a lot I threw at you. I'm sorry.
I'm going to speak, and I'm going to speak in the non-traditional aspect of doing it because everyone's not coming to this tradition. So I'm going to speak in that aspect.
Exactly.
I'm going to speak on the traditional aspect, and so I'm going to speak in two aspects: traditional and non-traditional. For those of you who are not in the Orisha tradition, there is something you can do, and everybody's doing it these days: meditation, learning to quiet yourself. Learning affirmations and speaking over yourself. You know what? You don't have to be in a tradition to do like this every day. Your hands are powerful, but your tongue is also powerful. And so you have the ability to speak life and death in your tongue. So you have the ability to go like this and say, I am wonderfully made. I am beautifully made. I am perfect. I have breakthrough. I am abundant. I am full of great things. I am brilliant. I am genius. I am everything I am needed to be in life. And then having a place of meditation. Having our own sacred spaces are very important for those of you who are not in this tradition. Adisa said it, mindfulness. Yes, being mindful. Having a spirit of gratitude in the middle of an attitude. Okay? And so doing all of these things will help you, for those of you who are not in the tradition. There are some things you can do. There's some things you can do. You can give your head, when you're feeling hot-headed, put some cool water on your head. Get some cold water, put it on your head, and pray. And begin to pray and just trust Ori. Trust your inner strength to guide you to where you need to go next. But go into a meditative place. Learn to meditate. Sit on your duff. Cut the lights off. Cut your television off. Get a journal and let Ori speak to you. And if you can't call it Ori, say spirit. Whatever's working for you. It works if you work it. And for those of you in the tradition, I would advise you, there are two aspects. Most say go to a priest. Yes, you can go to a Ialosha, Babalosha, Babalawo, Ianifa, and you can have what we call a rogation, a cleansing of the head and things like that. If you've seen the new show by Spike Lee, she's really being cleansed. She's got to have it. There are things that you can do like that. And for those of you who may not have an Aluo, you can do some things at home. There's the prayer I just said. Get up in the morning and you can do the same thing people who are not in the tradition are doing, to wake up in the morning and to give destiny its due. You can do those things. And while you do it, you'll start going through your transformation. See, when you tend to your spiritual garden, you water it, you prune it, you allow it to grow. And so Ori is literally your spiritual garden. And so when you're tending to your spiritual garden, everything begins to flow the way it should flow. Like some people are like, is that new age? Yes, it's new age.
It's new age.
It's new age. It's a new age, darling.
But it's not. But it's not at the same time.
Yes.
You know, but it's not at the same time. It's very ancient knowledge as well.
Yes, it's ancient technologies. A lot of people don't understand that this is all ancient technology. History repeats itself. You always... History is on a wheel for me, and I believe it's on a wheel. What happened then returns again to remind us to go back to the ways of the ancient, to go to the ways of our ancestors. Our ancestors did this. This is how our ancestors... So your blood is talking to you about doing certain things and about going to doing certain rituals. Blood talks loud. So, what else?
That is, I love it. I just have so many questions. It's so fascinating. So and by the way, for those of you who are watching, by all means, ask
Oh yes,
questions.
please.
My husband is in the comments right now, and my husband is of the Hindu tradition.
Ah,
And
namaskar.
it's true. He talks about this. He talks about the concept of spiral timelines, and it's true. Getting stuck in these. I believe it's called samsara. It's this idea of being
Yes.
stuck in the spiral time. Um, but so the Ori is always looking out for you. It's always guiding you. It's always protecting you.
Hmm.
How do you protect the Ori?
There's no need to protect the Ori.
No?
No.
So then what is it? So then what is it that I see all the time that when women wrap their head, they say that they're protecting the Ori?
They're ignorant.
Am I
They're
wrong?
not. There's. How can you protect something greater than you?
Ah.
What they're doing with the wrapping of the head is there's just certain rituals that we do. I don't necessarily know why we do it, but we do it because that's what the old folks said. Okay, so a lot of, especially with white cloth, because Obatala is the creator of heads, and so white cloth is that element, that purity, light. So we're putting light on our head. We're putting cleanliness, purity on our head. So that's what I believe that aspect is. I have to ask somebody whether we really do it though. But I'm gonna give you what I think we do. Okay, so. But you can't protect
Interesting. I
something
love
greater
it.
than yourself. Ori protects you. Ori is your protection.
Mm.
So to ask to think that they're protecting the Ori, no, you can't protect something greater than yourself. Now you can protect your physical head. You ain't gonna let nobody punch you in the head now. Stop.
I hear that.
That's
I hear
backwards.
that. I know for me, I do readings
Hmm.
for people with the tarot. So I know for me, per wrapping my head is extremely important because I take on people's things. Like in order for me to read, I have to touch their hand. I have to physically touch them. That's why I don't do online readings. But when I touch them, it's like I just take everything in. So when I cover my head,
Hmm.
I don't feel exhausted.
Yes.
I don't feel sick afterwards. I feel very protected. So I was always wondering, and now mind you, I'm not part of any tradition. Everything is led by my Ori. I
Hmm.
always just listen and just follow that guidance.
Hmm.
But I never quite understood why I did that. All I knew is that I felt better when I did it,
Hmm.
you
That's
know?
you. That's you being
That's
guided and led to do certain things. Now we're talking about your physical head. Yeah, you want to protect your physical head, but you can't protect Ori, the great Ori. That's it's here to protect you. But yes, you need to protect your physical head
mm,
because sometimes sometimes we can have what we call psychic vampires.
yes.
Okay, you know what that
Hmm.
means. Okay, so you do want to keep your head covered from that vampires that go on, and especially those of us that work in spiritualism, we know that there's just certain things we need to protect, and we got some vampires. Okay, so yes, you probably do want to protect your physical head, but as of Ori, the spiritual Ori, nah,
Mm.
it's good.
So we've talked a little bit about feeding your Ori, and working with it. How do you communicate with it though? How do you listen to it? It's I know you had mentioned you just know. It's just this inner
Mhm,
knowing. But for some people, especially for people who are clouded, who are going through a lot of stuff and they're kind of in their own way,
mhm.
how do you advise them? How do you work with them to sort of clear out that stuff and be able to listen to it? Or how
Um,
do you communicate with it?
the first and foremost, we have to understand that Ori communicates with us. It's dialogue.
You don't initiate anything. You're not trying to.
Ori's going to talk to you.
Okay.
Uh, that's what Ori does. Um, how you listen or how you clear your mind. I gave an aspect of veneration, and that's the most important thing, or worship. I've learned that in times of worship that I begin to be clear and hear things. And I'm going to say this because a lot of people
Mm,
don't have this understanding of what worship is. For me, how I get
mm,
clarity is a place of worship. How I begin to just praise God for God, who God is. And that's what I usually do. If I need some clarity, God, I just thank you that I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I thank you anyway. And as I begin to calm my mind down, I begin to hear. At the same time, if you do meditation and calm your mind down immediately, you begin to hear. So how does Ori communicate? You want to know that. First place we
Like, do
communicate.
you use your five senses?
Huh?
Can you use your five senses to be able to listen, or is it a whole different kind of thing?
You can use your five senses. But another way, the
Okay.
first way we learn, we have visions. And I remember earlier I said about sacred imaginations or sacred thinking.
Yeah.
Well, in that process, you begin to have visions and dreams. All of us have visions and dreams, whether we know it or not. We have flashes in our head during the day. We daydream all the time. We're constantly being spoken to, and those are the times where Ori is speaking to us. Ori also can speak to us in dreams. Okay, and so the way you know is the way Ori is speaking. You ever just you wake up. Let me tell you, for me, and I can only speak for me. The most time where I hear Ori the most, driving in the car, on the toilet, or the sleep to wake moments of the day when I'm asleep, but I'm up and I'm conscious of it, and that's when I'm hearing the most. And so for most of us, that's where we can hear in that time. And so hearing in that time is you have thoughts that go through your head. That's where we speak, and you know they're not your own thoughts, and they're inspiring you, and they're sharp. And those are the thoughts when Ori speaks. Hey, if I get my wife this, if you get this thought, go buy your husband some roses, blah, 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 because he's depressed. That's Ori's talking to you. And then you get home and, honey, I brought you some roses. Now, you know your husband don't like roses, but you bought your husband some roses. And he said, honey, you don't know how much this made my day. Such and such happened today, and I really needed this. I just felt like throwing in a towel. Those are that's the result of listening to Ori. So worship or meditation, dreams, visions, promptings, inspired thoughts. Those are like 7 ways I'm giving you guys how Ori speaks to you. Those are 7 ways. And what you do is you practice. I do something called practicing the presence. And this is on my own stuff, where I practice the presence. I'm always aware that God is with me, in me, and through me at all times. And having that practice puts that mindset, that mindfulness that I should hear. So what am I doing? Is I'm tuning myself in to hear, because throughout the world we have clutter. A godson of mine says that he drives without music on. I drive with music on because in the morning I need to get turned up before I go to work. Okay, so I play the most ratchetest music in the morning, and then I'm like, go get the money, go get the money, go get the money, go get the money. Okay, push it, push it. I play that in the morning,
Yeah.
not because I'm trying to be too deep and spiritual. It's because I know what I need in the morning to get that boost. And plus, I'm driving in North Carolina on a dark highway, and I'm halfway sleepy, so I need something to keep me awake. There are things like that that we do. There are practices, and as you continue to practice, you're hearing and you're listening. An 8th way, I'm going to give the 8th way, is journaling. You need to learn to have dialogue with yourself. People don't know, how does Ori sound? Nobody's asked the question, how does Ori sound? Just like you.
Because it is you. It's you as well, right? Yeah.
Ori sounds just, your voice, your higher self, your voice of God sounds just like you. And so when you hear your higher self speaking and you hear it in an authoritative way, you know that God, or you know that Ori is speaking to you. And so that's how you be led. That's how you're led. The hearing. Oh, my mother was diagnosed several years ago with stage 4 cancer, and we sat in the hospital, and the doctor said, we'll treat her here. And immediately the thought came to me authoritatively, you will not. And I just repeated what I heard. You will not. What do you mean? You're not treating my mother here. And I saw a vision of, if my mother would have been treated there, she would have been dead within 5 months. Stage 4 cancer. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
I said, I need a referral. And we did a referral. And we went to Sloan Kettering Hospital. And boom, my mother's still here 6 years later now. Okay,
Woo!
that's listening to Ori.
Yes.
Okay, listening to Ori when I was there was an incident that happened to me several years ago before I left New York, and this is that knowing this is why it's important to have a worship life. This is important to have daily communication. It's important how to venerate Ori, because Ori will get you out of danger. Okay. There was an incident that happened with a neighbor, and the neighbor, his son pulled the gun out on me. The gun was tricked, the lock, everything, whatever was on, he cocked his gun. It was a crowd of 200 people in front of the building I lived with. It was a summer party, and I was minding my business, and he came at me and he pulled his gun out. And I heard immediately, "It's not your time."
Mm.
I was like, who was that? He pulled the trigger. The gun jammed.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow.
It was the Ori of my sister that saved my life, as a relative of ours was trying to drown me in the bathtub. She heard something told her, "Go to the bathroom." She was about 7 years old, and a relative was trying to drown me in the bathtub. So you got to understand this, people. You have a God positioning system on the inside of you that tells you where to go, where not to go, where to go, this way to go. And all you need to do is listen.
Is listen.
Just listen. And that's how healing comes as well. That's how restoration comes as well. That's how inner peace comes as well, by listening. And we don't really take the time, even in the tradition, to really extensively teach people the aspects of all it is to be guided by Ori. We don't really take the time, and that's just something that's really missing. It's a missing element. I think a lot of people would be fulfilled if they started doing that, if we started teaching people. Now, I'll tell you this, I'll predict this to you, next week they'll start doing a whole bunch of Ori videos, okay?
Oh, say it again.
They'll do it.
Say it again.
They'll do it next week, because I'm a catalyst, and I'm a fire starter, and so people are going to start doing it next week. I'm going to put it out there, my prediction.
Yes. Yeah. But you're 100% right in terms of, you know, people really needing to take the time to do this and to learn this. You know, it's amazing to me how quick people are to go from 0 to 100. Their emotional state is just on rapid fire all the time. They listen to respond, not to understand. Everything is just this automated movement, and to like go, 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 and they're rushing to go nowhere. And if everyone could just stop and slow down, right?
Absolutely.
Just slow down.
Absolutely.
And listen, because the reward is that much more when you listen. I have some testimonies too, honey. We should, after this, we should just sit and I can just tell you my life story. Oh my gosh. Because the more I hear what you talk about, the more I'm like, oh my God, that has happened to me on so many occasions that it's ridiculous. And I'm so grateful for it, and I've led my whole life by doing that, you know. And you're the one who brought that to my attention, because my entire 23 years of doing this magical stuff has been completely on listening to this thing that's in there. I have no idea what it is, but it's been steering me right thus far. Gotta listen, right? And you're the one that's like, here's what it is, and here's how to really work with it. Here's how to heal with it. And so I thank you, beyond thank you, for the work that you do for this community. I will spread your name and your work and your videos everywhere I can. So just know that you are a huge inspiration to me, and I truly, truly care for you.
Well, we give praise to Oludumare. Really, we give praise to Ori. We give praise to Ori. So if it wasn't for Ori, I wouldn't be here. So.
Before we let you go, Adisa, can you want to talk a little bit about your organization, Exchange? You want to talk a little bit about that before you head out?
Oh, okay. So Exchange, I am, for those of you who don't know.
I know, we're switching it up. We're trying to plug you now. Well, so that people can know what you're into, how to get to you, your email, your Facebook, all that good stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what I do. I'm going back, and it's very weird, I'm going back into pastoral ministry. Exchange is a spiritual community and interfaith community for all people, all walks of the earth. We're here to love you, build you, and send you. And that is my motto: love you, build you, send you. That's the church's vision. That is the spiritual community's vision: to love you, build you, send you. Right now in the Durham area, I have a little small group that I'm meeting with. There's a group in New York, and soon there will be a group coming to Virginia, and I'll be based in Virginia very soon to do ministry and work. How do you reach me? You can reach me at the Exchange Center at Gmail if you're interested in being part of the exchange. And the exchange is exchanging the old way of life for a new rebirth of life, you know, a new aspect of life, a new guided way of life. And so that's what I'll be teaching. What was your other question?
Yeah. I mean, just talking about exchange,
Yeah.
talking about how people can reach you. And also, you know, the beautiful public videos that you give on your Facebook page. I want people to know about them because they need to be watching.
The videos are,
the
yes, I'm very open to members to our ministry. Yes, we're very open. As long as you're teachable and lovable, and we can love on you, and even if you're hurt, broke, and everything that you still can come to, there's a seat at the table for everyone. My videos started when I was in Wales. I was very shy for the longest of doing videos. I didn't like doing videos. I just started doing videos, and then I went viral about 2 years ago, and I was like, okay. And then I started hiding because I didn't like being in the public eye, and I was like, okay, I don't want the public to know me. I don't want to be that person everybody talks to. I didn't want it. I liked that privacy. And so my videos, a lot of people in the tradition know about me because of Alafia. Alafia shared a video of mine, and it went viral, and I was like, okay. So, you know, all these Facebook ads, I'm like, who are these people? I'm just trying to be private, have my little private life. Oh, little old me, you know. But I do videos sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. I do videos how I'm led, how I feel I need a message for people, and so the videos go out if I'm giving a message. I also do Nurture Sundays. And Nurture Sundays are for those of you who are not in the Virginia area, for those of you who are not in North Carolina, and for those of you who are not in New York. You can be a part of this global community called Nurture Sunday. And I will be doing video messages, and several other people will be doing messages. It is a global church. You can come and be nurtured. We will personally nurture you. I will personally take the time to nurture you and help feed you and to love on you. And you can have it in the comfort of your home. Okay, so there's a group called Nurture Sundays. Just look it up. It's Nurture Sundays. I have no problem adding you. More the merrier. Tell some other people about it. And come on and have some good old fellowship and supper with us.
For sure. And when I upload this onto YouTube, I'm going to put all the links down below so that people find you and are able to connect with you and get the healing and the inspiration that they need. Adisa, thank you so much for doing this and for being here. Oh my goodness. May you have a blessed, wonderful night.
Yes, thank you all, and thank you all for watching. Have a good evening.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.